All right, so we're gonna go over some terms first to introduce the class, and then we'll talk about the cloud, how we access the cloud on an iPhone and an Android with pictures, and we may have a little quiz at the ending to make sure that we know exactly what the cloud is. So let's get started. So, what exactly are some important terms you need to know for today's presentation and for the future when you are talking about the cloud? So, the cloud is going to refer to any software or services that run on the internet. And we're going to talk about that a little more, where I will break it down for you. But essentially, right, the cloud runs virtually on the internet. So it is not something that is physically on your device or physically on your computer. It runs on the internet. You need wireless connection to access the cloud. And we're going to talk about that a bit more, but that's just like a general definition. But we have tons of slides to go through, so we're going to keep going. And of course, if anybody has questions, you can always unmute yourself or you can type the question in the comment section. Some other terms that we want to discuss today are upload and download, because those are some terms you will see when you are using the cloud. So upload is essentially moving one photo, one document, or a file from one computer system to another. So, for example, if you have something on your friend's phone and you want it on your phone, right? Your friend has to send it to you or upload. Those words can be used in the same context. If you have something on your computer and you want to send it or upload it to your phone, right? That's the terminology we use, upload. We're uploading something from one device and moving it to another, sending it. Download is saving a file. So saving it on your actual device. So let's say you get a text message from your friend with a picture in that text message, right? If we want that picture that our friend sent to us, we have to download it or save it.
I'll use earphones. No, what is that? It's the center. They have an online.
Oh, let me just mute that. Okay, so we're saving and downloading a file. So for example, pictures, we're saving it on our device. If we get an email from our doctor of maybe blood work results that we need, right? We would be downloading it or saving it to our phone, saving it to our computer. And then lastly, another very important term for the cloud is backup. So you actually will probably see messages on your phone in the past, especially if you have an iPhone, where it says your iPhone hasn't been backed up in 25 days. It'll give you like some timeline of how your phone hasn't been backed up. So backup is the process of creating and storing duplicate copies of your files to prevent data loss. So when your phone says you haven't backed up your phone, that means all of your pictures that you have taken, all of your passwords that you have saved on your actual device is not being saved as a copy to the cloud. So what does that mean? If your passwords that you save on your phone, if your text messages that you save on your phone does not get backed up, if your phone breaks, gets stolen, um, something happens with like rainfall or any type of like a tornado, whatever it may be, right? You won't be able to get those files back because there's no backup, or essentially you can use the word copy. So when we say backup, it's essentially a copy of everything that's on your phone. But that's why it's very important to back up your phone in cases of any type of emergency, or if your phone gets lost or stolen, it will always be on the cloud. So these are very important terms, but now let's get into the actual presentation for today. So the cloud is everything that you save and on your phone. So any files, any pictures, any apps, what the cloud does is that you can access from anywhere in the world where there's internet connection. So we will talk about how to get to the cloud on your phone and your computers and so on. But essentially, with the cloud, everything that you save on it can be accessed anywhere, right? So if you are saving, let's say, for some reason you forgot your phone on vacation for some reason, right? You can always go on your friend's phone and access um, whatever you need on your phone through the cloud. And we'll talk about that in the next slides. But everything that you save in the cloud can be accessed on any device. You don't physically need your phone, right? You can access the cloud on your friend's phone, on the library's computer, doesn't matter where, right? Because the cloud essentially is accessed through an email and a password, your email address and a password. It's a physical locate of not sorry, not physical, it's a digital location that you can access by using that, which is why everyone here today, it's very important that you know your email address, whether that's your Gmail, if you have an Android, or your Apple account email address, and the password that goes with that email address, because that is how you can access the cloud from anywhere in the world. Any questions so far? We have a lot of slides to go, so, but if you do have a question, you could let me know right now. Okay. Okay. So let's keep going with the cloud. So when you store pictures, emails, and messages, what you're doing is using a web-based storage to avoid having to store your data on your actual device. So when you want to actually use the cloud, right? What you're essentially doing is, I don't want to save my items on my physical device that I have, right? Because once again, if your phone gets stolen, gets lost, is damaged by water, fire, whatever the case may be, your phone can get broken, it can get smashed, it can get stepped on. But if everything that you've been saving is saved to the cloud, you will be okay. And that's essentially what the cloud is going to do for you. So when you say you want to save your pictures to the cloud, I want to save my text messages to the cloud. What you're saying is, God forbid my phone gets broken or my computer gets broken. Essentially, that doesn't matter because all my critical information is in the cloud, right? So if you start saving things to the cloud, you can always get it back when you buy a brand new phone. So in the past, right, everyone used to walk around with USB drives or hard drives, right? Those were these tiny sticks that you would input into your computer or into your computer, right? You would people would name their little USB stick and they would name it like Vacation 2009 or something, right? So you can always remember what type of pictures you have on that USB stick. But now, right, USB sticks and hard drives are not as popular as it used to be because of the cloud. right? With USB sticks and hard drives, those can easily become forgotten, right? You can lose them because they're so small. You'll probably forget where you put them in your household. So for many people, for many companies, they kind of, died out with the whole hard drive and with USB sticks because it wasn't becoming, easy, right? Like obviously it gets to a point that if you have thousands of pictures, you're going to have multiple USB sticks just laying around your house. And now some computers don't even have a USB stick slot. Like my MacBook right now that I'm looking at, it doesn't even have a USB stick slot to put into my computer right now that I'm doing this presentation. I would have to buy an adapter to put it into my computer. So that's why many people use the cloud instead because they know that there will always be a copy for them online as long as they know their email address and their password. So that's kind of the transition from people using something physical and instead putting it into the cloud. Any questions so far?
I have a quick question. Are you going to talk about security at some point on the cloud?
We have one slide on that, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Also, I thought I had a picture, but the picture kind of disappeared. Hold on. I thought I had a picture for you guys about oh, here it is. Yeah, why didn't this picture come up? Okay, this pitch I was supposed to show you guys this picture. Hopefully we can see it. Um, because a lot of times when we say the cloud, they're like, well, where is the cloud, right? It's not in the sky, but that's a joke. But it is an actual place, the cloud. They're called cloud data centers. They're located throughout the US and other countries. And this is where copies of your data is being stored. If you look here at this picture, there's thousands or maybe even millions. I don't really know the number, but they're all throughout the US and the world. And yours would be in whatever company you use, right? So if you're Apple user, your data would be in an Apple data center cloud. If you have Google, yours would be in a Google one, right? And these are like the machines that occupy millions of people's information. So when we think of the cloud, it's basically these data centers filled with copies of people's information, and that's where it's being stored. So the next time when you think of a cloud, you could think of like a sci-fi type of movie, I guess, if that's what it looks like to me. But I think a visual helps people understand exactly how is my information being copied. And now we can visually see that. Okay, so let's keep going. So if you haven't been using the cloud or you think you haven't used the cloud, well, actually you have. So everybody here today who uses an email, I'm sure everyone here today has an email, you have already been using the cloud. So if you have Gmail, Yahoo, AOL, Optimum.net, any email service, it is the cloud, right? So all emails are part of a web-based service. So what does that mean, right? All of our emails are stored in that picture that I just showed you on those data servers, right? And how do I know this? Well, because all of your emails that you get, you can access it right from anywhere in the world on any device. You do not need to have your actual phone to log into your email, right? You can go right now to the New York Public Library in Manhattan, go on the computer and log into your email and read your emails. You can go on vacation across the world and use the hotel's computer and log in using your email address and password, and you would be able to access your email. So anytime you can access your information from multiple devices, it is essentially being stored in a web-based service, or other people use the cloud, the term the cloud. Cloud is just a simple term that people use so they don't have to say web-based service, right? Because the cloud just sounds easier for people to remember. But that's a good way to think of the cloud. So anytime you've been using your emails and maybe you have to, for some reason, you have a very urgent email and you forgot your phone at home, you can always ask your friend for their phone and simply put your email address and password onto, Google or Yahoo, whatever it may be, and you'll be able to read your emails right there. So no matter what happens to your phone, if your phone breaks, right, you'll still be able to read your emails on another device. If your computer breaks, you'll still be able to get a brand new computer and read your emails again because they're all being stored on servers than your actual computer's physical hard drive. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes. But if you have questions, please let me know. Okay, so we're gonna continue. So let's now get into the nitty-gritty of different types of clouds. So today we are gonna only focus on two types of cloud services, but there is tons of cloud services that you can use. But the main two that probably today we are using is if you have a Apple device. So if you have an iPhone, a MacBook, an iPad, you would probably use the iCloud, right? So that's the right-hand side of this photo. And that's the service that would come automatically on your phone. But we're going to talk about, more storage you have to pay for. We're going to talk all about that. And then on the left-hand side, we have Google One. Google One is for Android users, but those that have iPhones, you could use Google One too as well. It's not limited to only Android users. But these are essentially the two main services that you can use to store your information online instead of on your phone. iCloud is only for Apple, right? So if you don't have an Apple device, you cannot use the iCloud. But if you have Apple, you could use Google One, if for some reason you just didn't want to use the iCloud. But sometimes it gets very confusing. So today's presentation, we're not going to go over things like, well, if I have Google, can I move it to the Apple? If I have Apple, can I move it to the Google? Because that's going to get very complicated. But we're just going to talk about the beginners and just how to use each one separately. Besides Google One and iCloud, you may have heard of Microsoft OneDrive. Microsoft OneDrive are for people that use Dell or HP computers. If you actually get a brand new HP computer today, you would probably notice that before you even turn on the computer, well, I mean, before you can even actually use the computer, it's going to ask you to connect to Microsoft OneDrive, which is their cloud service. If you have an Outlook email or a Hotmail email, that is also being used with Microsoft OneDrive. And then yeah, I mean, Microsoft OneDrive is usually for computer users, but you can put it on your phone. If for some reason you really love Microsoft, that's fine as well. But I don't have a slide today for Microsoft OneDrive, but I could do one in the future. And then lastly, another cloud service is Dropbox. Dropbox is not owned by any of the main companies like Google or Apple or Microsoft. It's their own third-party company by their own owner. I'm not sure who the owner is or the name of the owner, but they're not affiliated with Google or Apple or Microsoft. And it does the same exact thing where it will save copies of, passwords, pictures, documents, whatever that you would like to save on the cloud. Any questions so far? Okay. All right, so before we're gonna talk about security and safety now, and then we're gonna save the ending where we can all go on our phones and look at the cloud.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Excuse me, thank you. I thought for some reason Dropbox was for photos.
You can put more than photos. It's not just photos.
Uh-huh.
You could put like documents that you get from, businesses, doctors, and so on.
And you have to pay for that too?
I believe you get 5 gigabytes of space for free, and then you have to pay. So it's very similar to how Google works and Apple works, where you have to pay the 99 cents a month.
Okay, very good. And is there a special photograph box?
Not that I know of, but not that I know of.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so like I was saying, we're gonna talk about the security right now, and then we're gonna have time at the ending to explain where you find your iCloud or your Google One on your devices. So let's just talk about the downfall of cloud storage, right? Because it's always good to talk about the negatives and the positives. So the 2 main negatives of cloud storage is, one, without internet connection, you're basically locked out of accessing anything that you put into the cloud. So, for example, let's say you went on vacation across the world and for some reason you're a high profile person and you saved important documents only to the cloud, right? If you do not have internet connection wherever you are, you won't be able to access the cloud. Same thing, think of it like emails, right? If you go on a New York City subway and you ride the train and all of a sudden you're underneath the tunnel of the train, you'll notice that your phone no longer has internet connection because you're all the way deep underground. So you won't be able to receive, right, a new email because at that moment you no longer have internet connection. So that's the same thing with the cloud. If you're in an area where there's no internet, you won't be able to access anything that you put into the cloud because just like emails, they are all located on that picture I showed you, which are those data centers across the world, and they all operate using internet. Okay, and then another downfall of cloud storage is security, right? So, all cloud companies will have security measures in place to protect you from hackers, but it doesn't mean that it's 100% perfect and that you will never get hacked into, right? Because, obviously anything can happen. Anybody can break in, and there has been downfalls of Apple in the past, like in the early 2000s, where celebrities' iClouds were hacked into and photos were leaked to the public.
Mm.
So many times with, cloud, using iCloud or Google One, hackers usually target, well-known people, politicians, celebrities, and so on, and they go into their accounts to try to leak any type of pictures that that celebrity may have and so on. Which is why it's very important that you always make sure your phone is up to date. Because when your phone says it needs to be updated, it's not just to give you new features, it's also security, right? Because when your phone says, there's an iOS 18.1.2. You're like, what is that? Well, that
Right.
0.1.2 is actually because they found something in their security that possibly a hacker can break into. So they want you to immediately update it so you won't, be part of a potential hack that may happen. So anytime Android says your phone needs to be updated or iPhone, it's because of a good reason, because their software developers have found out through the cracks that something went wrong in that update. So they need you to update as soon as possible so things like your cloud doesn't get hacked into or so on. Um, so the security, right? Because obviously, if you put your pictures on a physical USB stick, that's not gonna get hacked into. That physical USB stick stays in your home, somewhere where you put it in your desk, wherever it may be. No one's gonna touch it, no one's gonna hack into it. There's no internet involved in that. It's a physical item, but things on the cloud can get hacked into. Fortunately for Apple, that hasn't happened since the early 2000s. Um, I don't know about any instances, maybe with celebrities or politicians, I'm not sure. But in terms of like average people like you and me, I haven't heard of any a big scare or security breach with Apple for iCloud specifically. So I guess that's okay. Same with Android. I haven't heard of any big news on that, but it doesn't mean that it can't happen. Any questions on that from anybody? Okay. So let's just talk about this very quickly. There's a lot of this was like copy and pasted from their official websites, both Google One and Apple. And it's this was from last year, so some of these things could be changed, but essentially with Google One, um, if you are someone here today that's going to pay for the 99 cents or $1.99, what Google One does is that you'll get enhanced security features, you'll get protection, reports if you're on the dark web or so on. So it's not just extra storage, but you get all of that included as well to make sure that all of your pictures and files are protected. But once again, it's not 100% foolproof, right? Anything can happen. So just letting that be aware. Same with Apple, right? They also say in their terms and conditions that, all your data is encrypted. So what that means is that encryption basically means that you are the sole person who, is involved in your data, right? That the other user or the other company cannot read or look or see what your data is in these data centers. You have end-to-end encryption, that you're the sole person that can view it. Um, Obviously, like I said in the center on Tuesday, I don't know what that really means because, of course, if anyone is a criminal, right, Apple has the rights to possibly break into your iCloud data and view it for investigation, but that's a whole other topic that we're not going to get into. But with Apple, right, you'll get same thing, like a lot of security and privacy features so that, and keys, right? So like encryption keys are like, also you can add passwords to your cloud. So like an additional password. So in case a hacker does get into your cloud, they still need a key to get in, which is like a specific code. So they do an even extra security measure. And that's like the gist of this. Okay. So now we're going to head over with Apple iPhones. We're going to start with Apple iPhones first, and then we're going to have a slide for Google Android. So this is the time now where we can take out our phones and we can look at it together. And it's your time to ask me questions if you can't find or see things. So we're gonna go and we're going to use our iPhones and we're gonna see exactly, the cloud. If we're using the cloud, do we have space in the cloud? That's what we are going to do at this moment. And I have a picture. So how do we access iCloud storage? How do we see how much storage we have in the cloud? And how do we see what we're saving to the cloud? So the first step is always going to our settings app. So the settings app is the silver gear icon on our iPhone. The settings app has everything that we need to make changes on our phone. And that's where we're going to find iCloud storage in our settings app. When we get to our settings app, all the way at the top of the page, as soon as we click on it, at the top should be our first name and last name. And we should click on that as soon as we see our first name and last name. So once again, we are going to the settings app. It's silver. It looks like a gear icon that you would find like in a car or something. Once we get to settings, we're going to find our name at the top of the screen. So you may have to scroll up to find it. If you don't see your name at the top, you're probably at the wrong page. You're probably not in the app. Everybody's going to have their name at the top of the screen. Once we see our name at the top of the screen, we're going to tap on our name. When we tap on our name now, we should have a section says iCloud. It should say it very obviously, and you should see a picture of a little blue cloud, maybe, possibly, depending on the phone you have. But once you click on your name, there should be a section that says iCloud. Once we find iCloud, we're going to click on that, and we should be now inside of our cloud where you will see how much storage you have at the top of the screen. It will be indicated by a line, and they'll have some green inside of it. So your green could be all the way at the right or the left, depending on the usage. And then you'll have a section called Saved to iCloud. Saved to iCloud is going to be everything that you are copying to the cloud. So in case your phone breaks or gets stolen, everything that's being saved to the cloud, you will have it again if you get a brand new phone. And in that little save to iCloud section, depending on the phone you have, it may show pictures, passwords, text messages, mail. Everyone's going to be different on what is being saved to the cloud. And that's up to you guys to click on that and you can see exactly what's being saved to the cloud. And I'm gonna stop it for right there and pause. And I'm gonna ask you guys, you know, where you guys are at if you have any questions. Okay, and I'm also grabbing my phone to make sure that I said it correctly to everybody here.
I have a question.
Yes. Go ahead.
What is I've heard about the family setup where I think you can have more than one phone using the same iCloud storage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that would be iCloud Plus, which is an additional amount of money. And with iCloud Plus, you will get more space than the average cloud, which is just if you pay 99 cents or $1.99, you'll get 50 gigabytes. You'll get even more than that to share with your family members. You'll be up like on a specific plan where you can see each other's like pictures together that you're sharing, and it has like all different new features like invitations, privacy and security settings, and I don't know what else it has. It has a bunch of other things as well that you can share between you and your family, like custom emails that you can do, uh, sending pictures privately, things like that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Let me also,
I don't have passwords on my iCloud.
so if you go to this section that says Save to iCloud
Mm-hmm.
and you click on See All, so Save to iCloud, then in the corner it says See All. You want to then turn on passwords. So when you hit See All, it will open up to everything that's being saved to the cloud. And you have the option to turn things on or turn things off. So how I indicate what I want to turn on or turn off is by thinking about, do I want to save this information on my next phone? So I want to save my passwords on my next phone that I purchased with Apple, so I'm gonna turn it on. I put a lot of important notes in my phone, so I also turn that on. So it really depends on what apps you always use, and if you want that information to be transferred over, God forbid your phone breaks, gets stolen, whatever was inside of that app, so your text messages, I don't know if anybody here uses like social media apps, anything that was there that you were saving, you will want it on your next phone. So things like clock, you don't really need clock on unless for some reason you always want your next phone to remember what your alarms were. But that's not really critical, right? Um, you don't really need maps turned on to the cloud unless you want your next phone to remember all the different directions that you inputted on your maps. If you don't use fitness, if you don't have a watch, all those things can be turned off in the See All for Save to Cloud. I would only keep things that I really need on my next phone.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, and before we get to Androids,
I have one question.
yes,
Okay, let's say health. I don't use health. Should I delete it or should I just say I'm not using it?
if you don't use the health app at all, there's no reason to save it to the cloud.
Okay, so just thank you. Good.
Okay, last thing. I'm circling something on the PowerPoint right now. So if we look closely in our iCloud section, underneath where it says save to cloud, there should be iCloud backup. If you have an older phone or you haven't updated your phone, you may not see this. So let me just see. So if you have this screen, this is those that have older iPhones. If you have this screen here, just look for where it says iCloud backup. If you have this screen here, it'll look like this, iCloud backup. So once again, iCloud backup is essentially you saving your data onto the cloud. So we all looked at what's currently being saved, and now it's time to back it up or copy it, right? So if we look at this screen right here, save to iCloud is me telling my phone, I want this information to be saved to the cloud. Once you said, yes, I want these apps, these items to be saved, it's now time to back it up, right? Without backing it up, it's never going to be saved to the cloud.
Uh-huh.
So in the little circle that I just put in red, iCloud backup, you should have a time or day of when it was last backed up. So in this example, this person's backup was 2 hours ago. So yours could look the same. Yours could say a day ago, right? That's fine. And some people, it may say failed. This iCloud failed to back up. If yours says your iCloud has failed, that's probably because you don't have enough space in your iCloud. Which essentially means you would have to pay the 99 cents a month or $2. So yeah, $1.99 a month to save your information. And unfortunately, both Google and Android, they do this because they want us to pay, right? There's no other way around it. If someone here today has 1,000 pictures and they have a multiple apps, you'll never be able to get to use the free version to save all your information. Unfortunately, you will have to pay the 99 cents a month to save to the cloud. Because even if you deleted all your pictures, you probably still will not have enough storage. And that's just how Apple scams us. And same with Google. So if yours says iCloud backup failed, it's probably because they want you to pay that 99 cents a month or the $2.99 a month. But that's a good indicator to see when was the last time your phone backed up information or copy. If you don't if backup sounds complicated, you could just think of it as a copy. When was the last time my phone copied my information? So if your phone says iCloud backup 80 days ago, that means since 80 days, your phone hasn't been copying your pictures to the cloud, your passwords to the cloud, and whatever else crucial information you want to save to the cloud.
Tabitha, when
Yes.
you delete photos, sometimes I have to go in and clean up because I take a lot of classes and I photo the screen a lot. When I delete the photo from my iPad, does that delete it from the cloud?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, that's good.
The other question I have on my phone, advanced data protection off. Should that be turned on?
So advanced data protection is going to be that thing I talked about earlier today, where with the keys, right? So these are specific keys that you have to remember. So like a specific code that you remember, because Apple's not gonna remember it for you. So once you turn that on and you don't remember that code, you won't get that information back. So I would say to beware to turn that on unless you're gonna like write that code down and always have it.
I hear you. Okay.
So Tabitha, it says over cellular. Are you saving it to the cloud using cellular data?
You can turn that on. That's fine. That's just saying that in case you don't have Wi-Fi, do you want your cellular data to use it? So, well, the unless you don't, if anybody here today pays Verizon or AT&T and they're not their phone plan is not unlimited, you should don't turn that on, backup over cellular, because then you're gonna be using your data, and we don't want to charge your phone bill and make it very high. If you don't know if your phone plan is unlimited, then just keep it off. Don't turn it on. Unlimited is like when you have unlimited text, call, and data. So when you pay for Verizon or AT&T, you pay for a phone plan and they say you have unlimited minutes, so you could always make as many phone calls you want. Or I have unlimited text. I can send 1,000 texts a day. That's what it means by unlimited. So if you know you have that, then you could turn it on. That's fine. If you don't do that. It says also in the fine print, if you read it, it says this may cause you to exceed your plan. Does that make sense?
Or is it better to leave cellular on or off?
Yeah.
No, it depends on, yeah, it depends if you have an unlimited plan. Do you know if you have an unlimited plan?
I have to check.
Who's your provider? Verizon, AT&T? Who do you pay your phone bill to?
I think it's for reason.
Yes. So, yeah, you have to check with Verizon if you have an unlimited plan. If you know you do, then yes, you can turn that on. Okay, so we're gonna give Apple people a break because we have to move on now to Android. So if you have an Apple, you could play around with it and ask me questions after we go over Apple. Oh. So here we have
Tabitha,
Android. Yeah.
I'm sorry to interfere. That stick I asked, this is Naomi, that stick I asked you about, that's Omni and it's on Amazon. So you said you would just check that out for me, okay? Because I can't stay on here any longer.
Okay, well, just type, do you know how to use the chat?
Oh, yeah.
Just type it in the chat so then
Will
I
do.
know how you spell it. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so Android. So if you have an Android, the easiest way to see how much storage you have and what's being saved is by going to this website called one. Hold on. By going to one.google.com. This website right here, you can type it into Google. Once again, this is for Android users. So if you have a Gmail account and you don't have an iPhone, you can go into your Google app or your Chrome app, whichever one, it doesn't matter. And you can type in one.google.com and you should get a page with home, storage, and benefits. and it will tell you how much storage you're using, and if at all, even if you are using it or not. And we are going to see if you actually have it turned on, because I have more slides in a second. But the easiest way is to go to this website. There is an app called Google One, so you can download the app later on today. So you can easily just click on the app to see how much storage you have, instead of going to the website and typing it every single time. Instead, you can download the Google One app, which is much easier because you don't have to always type this over and over. But anyways, if you do have this, please go to the Chrome app or the Google app and type one.google.com. And once we type that into our Google or Chrome, whichever one you like more, it should open up to a screen that says basically storage and how much you have used, with a line through it, right? So it should say 11% used, 10%, 12%, whatever it may be, it should show you a percentage. Is everyone who has an Android following? Just want to make sure. Hopefully.
Not surprisingly, I have a problem. When I went there, I didn't get that screen. I get secure storage from AI from Google sign up, for which they want to charge me, of course.
Wait, so you typed in one.google.com
Correct.
and then you get a screen that says
Google One secure storage from AI from Google. Under it, there's one of those blue circles and it says sign up for Google One. And then they tell you how much, you know, $1.99.
Oh, okay. So it may be that you're not logged in to you're not logged in on your phone. So
Oh, okay, that's certainly possible.
so you're gonna see the next slides then.
Okay.
So if you didn't immediately, when you typed in this website, get this page, it's probably that you're not signed into Google. So what does that mean? I'm not signed in. It means that you haven't inputted your email address and password when you use Google on your phone. You're just using guest mode or browser mode, right? You're not actually logged into your account.
Okay, I can check that. According to my little notes here, I am, but that doesn't mean anything. We know that about me. So I'll follow up on that.
The good mouse.
Oh gosh. Okay. We got more slides. So let's see if maybe the next slides will help you. But anybody else quickly before I get to the next slide, anybody has a question? Okay. So let's just quickly go to this section because that's fine. For some people today, maybe you haven't seen that. So I have another slide just in case that happened. So on your phone, you want to go where your apps are, where you see all your apps, and you're going to click on settings. Oh, once again, it's that gear looking icon. So forget about typing the website, leave that app, swipe up, hit the home page. Let's go back where we see all of our apps on our screen. So let's find our apps. And we're going to go to the settings app. In the settings app, once we're there, we want to scroll down and find Google. And once again, this will be on Android phone. So if you have an iPhone and you're trying to find this, you won't get this on your screen. So we went to settings, we scroll down and we're finding Google and we're going to click on that. Okay. Once we clicked on Google,
Yeah, I got it. It has my information.
okay, it should open up with your name at the top, your email address. And once you see that screen, you want to find the word backup. Backup is going to, at least in that screen, it will show you whether or not you have been saving things on your phone, you haven't, your storage, or so on. So when I did this class in the center and we clicked on backup, this one person was not saving anything to her phone. Everything was being saved locally. So when we clicked on backup, it gave us an option to turn it on. And if that still doesn't work for anybody here today, the best option then is to just download Google One. If you download the app Google One, it will log you into your account where you can see your storage. Make sure you know your password to your Gmail account, because that's the only way you'll be able to access it. If you don't know your password, you're gonna have to say forgot password and put a new one, because that is the only way you can see how much storage you have. But so the first option is typing one.google.com. The second option is going to your settings app, Google, and finding backup. And please let me know if anybody has a question on that for Androids. Any questions? Okay then. So hopefully that helped everyone here today. Since it's already 12, we won't go over the quiz. So you guys are good on that. But this has been recorded, so it will be posted on our RSS YouTube page. If you go to RSS Riverdale Senior Services on YouTube, this recording should be here by tomorrow, and you can rewatch it if you missed anything. So thank you guys for coming, and next week we will do AI, a class on artificial intelligence. So please come to that one.
Thanks again, always. You're wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thanks a
Tabitha.
lot.
Appreciate
Bye.
that.